play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
Is the Carolina Panthers with their new quarterback, Sam Darnold. They had Teddy Bridgewater last year. Really, really competitive. A lot of one-score game losses, close games against Packers and Chiefs. And then this year, they've started off hot, 2-0. Really, really great defense so far, Vish. And I know you were high on one of their main defenders, Brian Burns. But Vish, what are your thoughts on the Panthers' offense, defense, Darnold, just everything so far?
Yeah, I think the Panthers are one of the best teams in the NFC. I think they are. I picked Brian Burns to win Defensive Player of the Year before the season, but I wasn't sure if the Panthers defense could take the leap with him. I thought he would take the leap. They're taking the leap. I know that it's been 2 games. One game they played the Jets, who were terrible, but the Saints have a good roster, even though half their coaching staff was on COVID, and the Panthers looked every bit as talented as them, if not more talented. I mean, you look at their defense, their investment in their defense is paying off. They have so many gifted players. Derek Brown's a monster. Brian Burns, I mentioned it. I'm feeling good about picking him as a Defensive Player of the Year because I think this is the year he gets nationally recognized as an elite pass rusher, which he is. Shaq Thompson's good. Hassan Reddick is good. Yater Mater Gross is good. Yater Gross Matos, I always mess that up, is good. Jeremy Chin, absolute beast. Dante Jackson's good. J.C. Horn has been really good. You go down the list, and their defense is unbelievable. It's an elite defense. It suffocates teams. It's so fast. And then you look at their offense, and I think their offense is incredible. I actually was talking to somebody about this a bit earlier. I think if Christian McCaffrey was healthy last year, Teddy Bridgewater would still be the quarterback there. I think that, look, Sam Darnold has been a lot better than what he was with the Jets, and he looks like I was wrong. I didn't think Sam Darnold was good at all. He looks like a viable starter in the NFL. But I also think that Sam Darnold has been really propped up by the supporting cast. If you look at Next Gen Stats' graph of all of Sam Darnold's throws, they're literally all short to the outside. Why are they short to the outside? Well, the Panthers, are basically avoiding middle of the field throws for his bad decisions. And they're avoiding him throwing the ball down the field because throwing the ball down the field deep isn't exactly his strength. But he's been pretty accurate, and he's been really good doing that. Credit to him. And they have weapons all over the place. Christian McCaffrey is firmly the best running back in the NFL. I think he's proven that the last 3 years when he's healthy. No disrespect to Derrick Henry, but to me, what he does in the receiving game adds an element. DJ Moore, we talk about DJ Moore all the time. We think he's a top 10 to 12 receiver in the NFL. He's unbelievable. Terrace Marshall is living up to the hype. He looks good. Darnold to Dan Arnold is real. It does exist.
I cannot stand that. That they need to get something switched around with that. Like they need to call him. They can't call him Arnold anymore. It just or they just need to get Ian Thomas out there instead. Like that. They need to end that ASAP.
No, but and then Robbie Anderson has also been good. He's been Robbie Anderson. He's been fast, and he's been their deep. And you look across the board at that talent, and then you look at the fact that they have in their offensive line a guy like Taylor Moton, who's just an absolute beast. I just think that for that reason, I'm just so impressed with Carolina. I think we're going to see them start 3-0. I think there's no chance they lose to Houston on Thursday night, and I think they actually blow out Houston. And I think it gets to the point where this week we start to see Carolina more in the national news, where people are going to be talking about, is the Carolina Panthers for real? Because they will be 3-0. They would have just blown out the Saints, blown out the Jets, blown out the Texans. I mean, this defense is unreal. This offense looks really good, and Sam Darnold's playing good. So, I mean, yeah, Carolina is unbelievable. And I talked about before the season, before you go, how I thought Denver would be the best defense in football. And Denver has looked the part, but it might actually be Carolina. Carolina's defense is really, really good.
They have been. And, I mean, they are getting a little lucky this week, though, not having to face Tyrod, because for whatever reason, Tyrod has been incredible in the first 2 weeks.
Insane.
Like, there's a realistic chance the Texans are in a one-score, really close nail-biter game with the Browns if he doesn't get injured. And that's crazy to even fathom, because if you'd have asked anyone before the season, they would have said 50-point blowout. But not to get too off topic, but I'm with you on the whole Darnold or McCaffrey, I guess, thing, and how he has looked insane. I want to say he's caught at least 8 passes in both games. And it's not even like, just like swing routes that they used to throw to Kyle Allen. It's just he's going out of the backfield and he's either going inside or outside, and it doesn't matter where. Like, there's no linebacker that can keep up with him. And it's always on the timely, 3rd and 5 or whatever, and he runs an out route against Demario Davis and he gets a couple yards of separation and makes a great catch. Or he goes on an inside route and he's picking up like 5 to 15 yards because he can break tackles and he's so athletic. And I think that has really, really helped their offense in general, because Mike Davis was pretty good last year, but McCaffrey is just something else in the receiving game. And there's really just no linebacker that can really keep up with him that we have seen so far. And then with DJ Moore too, I'm glad you pointed it out. A lot of short stuff, like just get him and McCaffrey the ball and just let them go to work. I know he had the big bomb to Robbie Anderson who was open and all that, but a lot of everything has been short, and just let your 2 really, really good players after the catch or after getting the ball go to work. So I'm more fascinated to see how this offense does against potentially a more stout defense, like say they play the Broncos or say they play, I don't know, the Steelers, or just some defense that is better than these past 2. But not to try to take anything away, just want to see more. And then their defense has been absolutely fantastic so far. I mean, that D-line, the D-line has so much talent on it. Dante Jackson has been really, really solid so far as well, which is always exciting. And they just have, you mentioned it, they've invested a lot of capital, just early round picks into this defense. And you can kind of tell why their defense is just flying around the field at all times. So I really, really think that their defense will be up there. I don't know if they'll be the best. I don't know if I would put them as the best, but they're making a case for it right now. So you can't really complain if you're a Panthers fan.
Yeah, and on a side note, I think Darnold's play and how good he's been is the perfect example of what in the modern NFL, good scheme with good weapons and a good defense can make a lot of different quarterbacks look and play above a league average in terms of their numbers and their efficiency and all of that. I mean, we've seen it with a lot of different guys. We've seen it with Goff. We've seen it with Garoppolo. We've seen it a lot. If you put a good defense around them and you create a passing game that suits what they do, and that's what Carolina's done. They've not asked Darnold to do things he's not comfortable with. They've kept it simple for him, and he's excelling, and he's doing great. And DJ Moore, as you mentioned, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, unbelievable after the catch. And the Carolina Panthers are flourishing because of it. And, maybe as Darnold grows in confidence, it all opens up a bit more. I would like to see them against a bit better defense because New Orleans secondary was so banged up. No Lattimore and a few other guys. I'd like to see them against that. But even if you see him against that, like, I don't know if there's a stopping, getting the ball out to DJ more quickly. And can you tackle him in the open field? He's unbelievable. And I don't know who's going to stay with Christian McCaffrey if you have to guard him in man coverage on any 3rd down. He's unbelievable. I think they run the ball better too against a lot of different teams because the Saints defensive line just is really, really strong and stout against the run. So I think overall, like, Carolina to me is just for real. We talked about them. Both of us mentioned them as a sleeper team that could be good because we looked at the talent. We were not sure about Sam Darnold, and so we both didn't pick them to make the playoffs. We thought their division was difficult. Our man Jamal Armstrong in the comments has been all over Carolina as well. And to me, I thought they were maybe a year away. This year they would compete with everybody and they would beat a few good teams, but they might not be ready, to be a playoff team. But right now, 2 weeks into the season, they look like they're ready now, which is crazy because they're super young.
And I think Matt Rule has been a fantastic hire. One of the best hires from that hiring cycle. And he has brought a culture. And I don't know if many people have bought into the college coaches coming up to the NFL because it always hasn't panned out. Saban's an example. Urban Meyer's looking to be the next example. But Matt Rule was really good in college, and he's really good right now so far. Just keeping this team competitive and building a good culture in Carolina.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this, and mostly because my cousin's a Giants fan. If you remember, the year the Giants hired Joe Judge, I think Matt Rule was hired in the next cycle,
Mm.
if I remember correctly, or maybe Joe Judge and Matt Rule were
I
hired in the
think they
same
were in the
cycle. But
same year, maybe.
more or less, I remember Matt Rule was heavily connected with the Giants. Everybody thought that that's who the Giants wanted to hire. Um, and I also remember that the year the Giants drafted Daniel Jones, before Justin Herbert said he was going to go back to Oregon for his senior year, everybody was saying that the Giants were smitten with Justin Herbert. They love Justin Herbert. Can you
Really?
imagine where the Giants would be right now if they had Matt Rule and Justin Herbert instead of Daniel Jones and uh, Joe Judge?
They probably wouldn't have beaten. Or no, they're 0-2. They would be in a lot better spot. I was gonna say Daniel Jones wouldn't be looking so good against Washington all the time. That's for sure, because he hates Washington and he just takes all his anger out and plays well against them. But yeah,
Yeah,
that team would be scary.
yeah. I mean, I just brought that up because obviously Herbert's unequivocally better than Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones played great, I thought, on Thursday. I mean, we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Some school stuff came out, so we weren't able to stream on Friday. I had a couple projects due, but yeah, Daniel Jones was unbelievable in that game, and it definitely wasn't his fault that they lost.
He got a 50-yard touchdown taken away too, a rushing touchdown. That's what I'm probably the most angry about, because that man's rushing is just too good. He's super fast. But
He's
enough
a
with
fast
that.
player, quarterback in the league,
He's definitely faster than Lamar, definitely.
and Kyler.
Yeah, definitely. But that wraps up the Panthers. So Matt Rule building a great culture there was kind of the point of that. But great defense, great offense so far. Will they make the playoffs in the NFC? We shall see in the near future.